What if I told you that behind the shimmering lights of old Hollywood, behind the carefully crafted smiles and glamorous gowns, some of the most famous actresses carried secrets that could have destroyed their careers? In an era when studios dictated every move, when morality was as much a business as the box office, the greatest scandal a woman could endure was to have a child out of wedlock. And yet, some of them did. They never married, but they had children. Some hid them. Some defied the world. Some buried the truth so deep that it only came to light decades later. This is their story. Loretta Young, a star's hidden daughter. Loretta Young was the embodiment of grace and purity. Born Gretchen Young in Salt Lake City, she began acting as a child and by the 1930s had become one of Hollywood's most admired leading ladies. Her Catholic faith was part of her public image, and she cultivated a reputation as a woman of elegance and morality. But beneath that polished image was a secret so explosive that it was hidden for almost an entire lifetime. In 1935, while filming The Call of the Wild, Loretta had a brief affair with her co-star Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood. The affair resulted in a pregnancy. For Loretta, an unmarried Catholic woman, and for Gable, a married man, this was the ultimate scandal. Hollywood studios were ruthless in protecting their stars' images. They decided Loretta must vanish from the public eye. Newspapers were told she was on vacation to rest. In reality, she was sent away to carry her pregnancy in secret. When her daughter Judy Lewis was born, Loretta faced an agonizing decision. Unable to acknowledge her child without ending her career, she placed Judy in foster care. For the next 19 months, Loretta visited Judy quietly, disguising her identity even as a mother. Then came the studio-crafted cover story. Loretta adopted Judy publicly, framing it as an act of charity. To fans, she was the generous star who opened her home to an orphan. In truth, she was reclaiming her own daughter under a carefully constructed lie. Judy grew up surrounded by questions. She looked in the mirror and saw Clark Gable's face staring back at her. The same eyes, the same teeth with the iconic gap. Children teased her at school, saying she looked like Gable. She never understood why her mother avoided answering. Loretta never admitted the truth publicly during her lifetime. It was only after her death that the truth emerged, when Judy's memoir revealed the painful reality. She was the secret child of two Hollywood icons. Judy later said, "I would look in the mirror and ask, who am I?" Her life was a mystery created by Hollywood's obsession with perfection, and her mother's desperate need to survive in an unforgiving industry. Ingrid Bergman, Defying Hollywood. If Loretta Young's story was about secrecy, Ingrid Bergman's was about defiance. Ingrid was a luminous star from Sweden, beloved worldwide for her performances in Casablanca and Gaslight. She was admired not only for her beauty but also for her seemingly wholesome image. But in 1949, Ingrid shocked America. While married to her husband, Dr. Petter Lindstrom, she fell in love with Italian director Roberto Rossellini while filming in Europe. Their affair quickly became a scandal, and when Ingrid became pregnant, Hollywood erupted. The reaction was merciless. A U.S. senator even denounced her on the floor of Congress, calling her a powerful influence for evil. The press vilified her. Theater owners refused to screen her films, and fan clubs dissolved overnight. For the first time, America turned on one of its biggest stars. Yet Ingrid refused to hide. She gave birth to her daughter, Isabella Rossellini, outside of marriage. Unlike Loretta Young, Ingrid did not create an elaborate lie. She faced the scandal head-on. Eventually, she divorced her husband and married Rossellini, but not before Isabella's birth cemented her as Hollywood's fallen angel. For nearly a decade, Ingrid lived in exile, working in European cinema while shunned in America. But she refused to apologize. When she finally returned to Hollywood in 1956, starring in Anastasia, she received a standing ovation and an Academy Award. Her comeback was not just professional, it was symbolic. Ingrid had proven that a woman could survive scandal, defy societal expectations, and still reclaim her place as one of cinema's greatest icons. Tallulah Bankhead, rumors of a secret child. Tallulah Bankhead was a whirlwind, bold, witty, and utterly unpredictable. Born into Southern aristocracy, she took Broadway and Hollywood by storm, leaving behind a reputation as one of the most uninhibited women of her era. Tallulah drank excessively, smoked constantly, and pursued affairs with both men and women. She shocked interviewers with her candor and delighted audiences with her charm. But beneath the bravado were whispered rumors that Tallulah had experienced pregnancies during her wild youth, some ending in miscarriage, others possibly in secret births. One story suggested that she bore a child who was quietly placed for adoption, though Tallulah never confirmed it. In fact, she rarely acknowledged anything that didn't fit her larger-than-life persona. Still, the rumors persisted, adding another layer to her legend. Whether true or not, Tallulah symbolized the rebellion against Hollywood's moral codes. If Loretta Young represented secrecy and Ingrid Bergman defiance, Tallulah was pure audacity. She once quipped, "It's the good girls who keep diaries. The bad girls never have the time." Perhaps she left no record of her secrets because she never wanted them written down. Barbara Stanwyck, secrets behind the screen. Barbara Stanwyck was Hollywood's consummate professional, hardworking, versatile, and deeply respected. From her start as a chorus girl to her rise as a leading lady in films like Stella Dallas and Double Indemnity, Barbara embodied strength and independence. But when it came to motherhood, her life was marked by heartbreak and distance. Barbara never bore biological children, though rumors swirled of miscarriages early in her career. Some suggested she had pregnancies hidden away to protect her career, though nothing was ever proven. Eventually, she and her husband Robert Taylor adopted a son, Dion. But Barbara's relationship with Dion was troubled. As he grew older, the bond between them frayed. He later accused her of being cold and distant, more concerned with her work than with motherhood. They became estranged, and by adulthood, Dion rarely spoke of her. Barbara's story shows that even when actresses attempted to embrace motherhood publicly, it often came with deep complications. For Stanwyck, the roles she played on screen, devoted mothers, self-sacrificing women, were sometimes in stark contrast to the challenges she faced privately. Her legacy remains one of strength, but also of silence, with unanswered questions about what she may have lost in her pursuit of Hollywood success. Joan Crawford, the motherhood illusion. Joan Crawford was ambition personified. Rising from poverty, she remade herself into a glamorous star, refusing to let anything or anyone stand in her way. Motherhood became part of her carefully cultivated image. Joan adopted several children, including her famous daughter Christina, presenting herself to the world as a devoted mother. She posed for photographs with her children, creating the picture of domestic perfection. But behind closed doors, it was a different story. Christina Crawford's memoir Mommy Dearest painted a chilling picture of Joan as an abusive, controlling mother, obsessed with appearances. "No wire hangers, ever," became a cultural catchphrase, a symbol of Joan's tyrannical parenting. Beyond this, there were also persistent rumors that Joan had pregnancies in her youth, long before her rise to fame. Some speculated that she placed a child for adoption in secrecy. The truth was never proven, but the whispers added to her enigmatic persona. Joan's motherhood was both a weapon and a wound, something she used to enhance her public image, yet something that brought pain to those closest to her. Her story demonstrates the extreme pressures actresses face to project perfection, even if it meant constructing an illusion. Lena Horne, the hidden struggles. Lena Horne was a trailblazer. As one of the first black women to achieve stardom in Hollywood, she faced barriers that her white counterparts could scarcely imagine. Studios cast her in glamorous musical numbers but avoided giving her substantial roles, fearing backlash from segregated audiences in the South. Her private life was equally constrained. Though Lena did marry early, much of her personal history was obscured by the studio system. Rumors circulated of pregnancies and relationships hidden from the public eye. Some claimed that Lena had a child out of wedlock, though the details were never fully confirmed. What is clear is that Lena's motherhood journey was deeply shaped by racism and Hollywood's control. Even her legitimate children were often left out of publicity, as though the studio wanted her to exist only as a glamorous image, not as a real woman with a family. Lena herself spoke often of the emotional toll, once remarking, "I was a butterfly pinned to a wall." For her, motherhood and identity were struggles she was forced to keep private in a world determined to silence her. Jeanette MacDonald, the whispered scandal. Jeanette MacDonald was Hollywood's singing sweetheart of the 1930s. Alongside Nelson Eddy, she starred in musicals that captivated audiences with romance and harmony. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, so undeniable, in fact, that fans begged for them to be together in real life. Behind the scenes, the two did carry on a secret romance, though both were constrained by studio contracts and public expectations. Rumors swirled that Jeanette became pregnant by Nelson, with the child lost in miscarriage, or, some whispered, hidden away entirely. The truth was never revealed, and both Jeanette and Nelson denied anything improper. Yet the gossip refused to die, fueled by their passionate performances and the secrecy surrounding their private lives. Jeanette's story reflects the murky line between Hollywood fantasy and reality. Were she and Nelson simply acting, or were their films windows into a love affair the world was never allowed to see? And if there was a child, what became of them? Mae West, defiant as always. Mae West was never one to hide. From the 1920s onward, she shocked audiences with her wit and sensuality, writing plays that flaunted sexuality and pushing boundaries wherever she went. She famously said, "I always say, keep a diary and someday it'll keep you." But Mae herself kept her private life out of the spotlight, even as her public persona was larger than life. Rumors persisted that Mae had at least one child early in her career, perhaps placed for adoption. Others said she had abortions, refusing to let motherhood derail her career. Mae never confirmed or denied these stories. She simply carried on, unbothered by whispers. Whether or not she ever bore a child, Mae West symbolized the woman who refused to be defined by society's rules. Her very presence on screen was a rebellion, and for many, the idea of secret motherhood only deepened her aura of mystery. Clara Bow, the It Girl's secret. Clara Bow was the original Hollywood It Girl, the symbol of 1920s flapper freedom. But fame brought relentless scrutiny. Clara's personal life was hounded by gossip, often cruelly exaggerated. Stories claimed she had affairs with athletes and directors, that she drank too much, that she was reckless. Among the rumors were whispers that she bore a child in secret, hidden away to protect her career. The stress of constant scandal broke her spirit. By the mid-1930s, Clara retired from acting, retreating into private life with her husband Rex Bell. She spent the rest of her life away from Hollywood, a reminder of how brutal the industry could be. Whether or not she ever bore a secret child, the rumors themselves reveal how fragile a woman's career could be. For Clara, being the It Girl meant losing control of her own story. Jean Harlow, the tragic star. Jean Harlow was the platinum blonde bombshell of the 1930s, adored for her beauty and boldness. But her life was tragically short. Harlow was plagued by gossip. Tabloids claimed she experienced pregnancies and miscarriages in secret, though none were ever proven. What is certain is that Jean desperately wanted love and stability, but her relationships were often turbulent. Her sudden death at just 26 added to her mystique, leaving behind unanswered questions. Among them was whether she ever secretly carried a child, a rumor that has never been fully resolved. Jean Harlow's life became part of Hollywood's mythology. A dazzling star extinguished too soon, with secrets buried alongside her. 10 women, 10 lives shaped not just by stardom, but by the unspoken truth of motherhood outside of marriage. Loretta Young's hidden daughter. Ingrid Bergman's defiance. Tallulah Bankhead's whispered scandals. Barbara Stanwyck's heartbreak. Joan Crawford's complicated motherhood. Lena Horne's hidden struggles. Jeanette MacDonald's rumored child. Mae West's bold independence. Clara Bow's whispered secrets. Jean Harlow's tragic fate. They lived in a world where image mattered more than truth, where a child could be seen as a scandal rather than a blessing. Some hid their children. Some lost them. Some refused to be silenced. But all of them remind us that behind the glamour of old Hollywood, These women were not just stars. They were mothers, in secret, in defiance, and in pain. And though they never married, their children, real, rumored, or hidden, remain part of their legacy.